Welcome to Artless Nap.
Welcome back to Artless Nap. I am your host, Anthony Pego, and today I'm here with Brittany
Wagstaff.
And so I met you through Tennille and Barrett, and these are friends of ours that do like a lot of stuff, like real estate, but they're just awesome people and they're talented. But you also have some talents of your own.
Apparently.
Yeah. So
I'm here to discuss them.
I put a Facebook post out saying, please, somebody come and podcast with me. And you answered the call. You said, why not talk about orgasmic meditation?
Yes.
And do you want to tell me what this is?
It's a practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a meditation practice.
Okay.
A real one. Like with real results, meditation results. Like, so, there's like brain waves involved that they can read the brain waves and they can note that they're changing.
Okay, yeah, like
in the practice.
Beta,
like,
alpha, gamma, and those.
They've done with the like nodes on the head sort of tests.
Yeah. We started off with monkeys and everything and then went to ourselves, and now they have toys. They actually have these like toys you can set little meshes on, and I think they're mostly in labs now, but they're mass producing these now. And so, they've got
It's amazing.
No, they had one that was like a Star Wars themed, and it was like Jedi Force, and so you would think and it would sense like changes in electrical, like conduction or something, and it would raise this ball. So if you meditated just right, it's a meditation machine, or it's telling you when you're hitting a certain wavelength,
Yes.
And so
That blows my mind.
How do you know you're actually practicing right?
Meditating.
Yeah, how do you know you're doing this right?
I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, except like, well, we were talking earlier outside about feeling like you're experiencing a real experience. Like while you're having the experience, you're really aware of it and like how good it feels. Like it's exhilarating. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I'm a person who I think like in an expanded sort of way, because I come from like parents who are really like open-hearted. Like I could feel their hearts more so than like take on their thoughts even. I feel like I felt their hearts. They weren't successful in indoctrinating me, and I went off into the world fully like confident for some reason that I was just learning what I needed to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because it worked as a kid, because you kind of just felt the path of where you needed to learn things from?
I think so. I think I was protected, and I had like a privileged experience in that I had a relatively worry-free childhood.
Yeah.
I also knew stability, even though I moved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like a core to what I was given that was really solid. So I could live different places, be who I needed to be in the moment, and be really self-accepting that like, there was enough love in the world for me. So it was great. It was like I was self-supporting.
Yeah. So you trust this internal gauge of yours. But so that's how, I guess. Why meditate? Why the orgasmic version of meditation?
Yeah. I think my experience with meditation, like a lot of people, is we try it a few times. Maybe we get into a practice. I don't know.
Like drugs? Is this what this is? It's like a drug?
Definitely. It's just like getting into an altered state, like kind of a consistent state. Mm-hmm. I think of my internal landscape as like a consistent sort of place, like a table, like your dining table that's cleared and you're doing your homework on it. And like, that's the important thing to do.
Okay.
It's welcome there to make a mess if you're doing your homework.
Right.
So I try to, have that sort of organization, but it's a clear place. Like I feel like I don't have a lot of indoctrination or whatever. I was allowed to kind of, move independently. Like, I feel like that's a real privilege.
Yeah. So when this happens, can you tell me what's going through Are you visual? Is it different for everybody? Do you know if people you've now taught this to people, or you're working on it?
Sort of. That's what I'm
You're
in the
working through
middle.
that?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of a training program
Okay.
that will allow me to be an orgasmic life coach.
Okay. And so when you're going through meditation of this sort or any other that you might have experienced, are you visualizing things? Are you thinking things in words, pictures? Are you just blanked out? We always think of it as like blankness, nothingness, or that's what the goal is to achieve.
The empty mind.
Yeah, the empty mind. But I don't know if that's like a mythology, like some sort of, like some myth passed down by Hollywood or something.
That you can see it at all, like that it's an image.
Yeah. What do you do? What's going on with you?
Yeah, like it's funny because I feel like I appreciate cinematic people, but it's not because I see like things cinematically. It's because I think about like a director's point of view. To create a scene is really interesting to me. I have friends who kind of create situations where somebody's controlling the music, somebody's cooking the food. Like it's a family dynamic, but we're like all kind of self-aware. We're all like there and we're participating in it like willingly and playfully, and like those are my friends right now. So I'm just having a really good time, and I know that if I'm having fun and no one's mad at me or whatever, then maybe I'm gonna keep rolling with that. Like I want to move through like arguments and stuff with people quickly, and I like to engage with people who will like verbally get into like our relationship. Yeah. And when you meet those people who want to talk about relationship, I just think that's a good time.
Okay. So is that part of the end goal? I don't know if there's an end goal. I keep thinking there needs to be a reason. Do you do this because it sets you on the right path and gives you this kind of like compass to run your life with, or do you just have to do this? Is this like a watering the flower?
It's more like that. Yeah. Okay. Because it satisfies all of my criteria for like what I was already interested in. It's now like with much more developed and like a lot of like funded sort of projections. Like it's gone out into the world and it's now touched like thousands of people. Like they're not all practicing right now, but at some point they went through the training, and that in and of itself is an experience, and that people are open to that is interesting to me. Like that's the sort of scientist I would want to be, because my true desire is to just like be in relationships that can teach me something, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You just want to learn from someone. You just want the truth, and you don't mind stories either. Like definitely storytellers around you, but just a community. And I know people fill in their own community, or another way that I think about it is we all have people in orbit around us, and like who are you putting in your closest orbit? Yeah. Who is near you that you'll see more frequently, and just like what are the quality of those relationships? And I definitely believe like all relationships can be improved. Like even if you can't connect with a person, like we've got the tools to communicate now. Like I would say it's me plus a combination of one taste. That's where I'm like, I feel really supported in providing people with that perspective. Yeah.
So you're open to people coming and talking to you about this. You want them to explore that with you?
Yeah. Orgasmic coaching is actually to find your desire. And the reason that I want to like help you find your desire is like, that's my desire.
Yeah. I mean, I always think the impression of like a life coach is somebody who just calls you out on your shit. And it's just like, you were fucking messed up.
I think it can be.
I'm sure it can be. It seems a little lighter when somebody says, well, I'm just going to be your orgasmic meditation coach. And you think, well, it's going to be nothing but that. I think what people probably initially, at least I did, think about it, in the movies where they have the couple who's going through issues, and then they bring in a third partner who's going to be like, all right, now I'm going to need you guys to get comfortable, and it's okay to get aroused here, and we're in a safe space, and perhaps if we...
Oh, yeah. So you're painting me a picture of what orgasmic life coaching might look like.
Well, we're used to like sex coaches and stuff like that. And when I think orgasmic, I think I'm a man. I just think, that's not an excuse. I'm a human being. I just think, sexuality. You got a mosquito?
Yeah.
So he's just trying to get some energy to go do the bad business, get an orgasm.
I'm just a hunter of insects right now.
I'm glad that you did that. I don't want them sucking on my face or anything.
Right.
So, you think of like orgasms, you think of like sexuality and stuff. Is it a sexual thing, or is that just like a word to describe the feeling of the meditation itself? Do you orgasm sometimes from this?
No, but I am going to put out there that I'm so good at following my desire that I live closer to an orgasmic state. And this just means
that must be nice.
Feel a lot of sensation. I think I'm not like special in this, but I think that the sensation is like a form of anxiety, but I feel it like everywhere. Yeah. But it's like different like meters for me to read, and I just go like reading the meter, but it's like intense sensation. So I feel like this is just me like communicating with my inner self, which sounds like an intuition thing, but really it comes from my body.
Okay, well, no, I can see how you could build tools and use them as a magnifying glass to, or a filter, to blockade some of those anxiety type feelings, or to focus them into something you were talking earlier about. You can course correct some of your anxiety type feelings, I guess. When you know things are starting to feel a little wild, you can take it somewhere. So that's the goal. Is that the reason to do this?
I was like, oh no, I wish. But it's more like I've cultivated an ability to sit with it and experience it like it's part of the experience of being alive. Like, it's just like, I just have this belief that my anxiety is not going to kill me. Like, I'm like, stress kills you. Like, don't be stressed. Yeah. But I feel like it is orgasmic because, I don't know, if you're not afraid of it, then you might look closer at it and you might find that you can, get something out of it. And I've just like cultivated a personal, like positivity, I think, that just allowed me to be open to that. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, it does. Is your ability different now than it used to be? Were you ever like not good at it, you think, like compared to now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been working on it my whole life. Like, it's just my core thrust, like, of interest. Mm-hmm. Paying attention to people and then relating to them, whatever they may do. And if you travel the world at all, right, with an open mind, you encounter a lot of different beliefs. And then you come to a town like this one and you're surrounded by people you don't relate to, you're expanding to like include them somehow, because you get to know them, better. And a lot of people are related to people who are, they feel fundamentally opposed to. But I don't think that's like, that's not my focus.
Yeah. We know a lot of cool people, a lot of funny people who do some really interesting things. You seem to be building a community around you, and that helps you in your quest. Yeah. What's the difference between them and the people that don't foster that for you? Why are they different? Like, what are some differences? Like,
how do you attract like the relation? If you're someone who is like building a web, and you're not necessarily conscious of it. Like, when I started out, I just was like, I'm building a family, and this is really cool. This is what I want to do. Yeah. So following that desire, I uncovered more like things I was interested in, not even really questions. Like, it was never thoughts or, like questions to myself. It was just following my interests. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like, you may relate to this. Like, if you're allowed to follow your interests and learn about what you want to learn about, that's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a learner.
Yeah. Well, it's the only way I'm happy. Like, to a fault.
Yeah.
I will jump around to different things. You know,
Happily ADD.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Once I've learned a process and I feel like I've achieved some goals, I will move on to something else. And it's not like I'm forgetting it. It's like I'm adding it to this toolbox, and I do incorporate some skills I've learned from each little subject matter, like skill set, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll go on to something else, and I don't know what the end goal is. I mean, I know the end goal is to be a better manufacturer of art and a better thinker, like, you know, more evolved philosophy.
Do you think that's an artist's, like, goal in a way?
Yeah, I think everybody's goal is different. I mean, I think some certainly just have to express, and it doesn't matter whether people get it. And I think some are artists because they know nothing else and think maybe they can make money at it. Everybody begins at least thinking like, I can be badass at something, this one thing, to a fault.
At art?
No, maybe, I don't know, maybe at art, you know? I mean, I think that's kind of the way people feel, and too much bravado when they look at, like, classical paintings. Well, modern paintings is a better example, in galleries, and it's like, you know, big swath of red on half of it and a big swath of blue on another, and they're like, well, I could have painted that, and they don't understand where it came from, why it was important for the time, actually the technique it takes to do that. I mean, you know, the thing's perfectly flat, and it's got a slightly different hue of cobalt on the outside as it does in the middle, and it takes years and years and years to figure out how to do that.
They didn't watch Pollock.
Yeah, no, and that's a totally different thing. Like trying to develop skills while being a completely insane artist with a real life that, you know.
So like just you having seen that film is really interesting, because that film, sometimes I think of that film, but you know, it's like interesting which scenes, we probably remember different scenes of it.
Yeah, probably. I remember him being very tumultuous with the female, and I remember, you know what, the brightest images in my mind are really just him with the canvas on the grass and him out, you know, experimenting with the drippings and everything. Everybody thinks that is just him, and he was out there just kind of like sloshing things around. But when you take a computer and analyze the strokes and the drips and stuff like that, a computer can tell you with a fair degree of accuracy whether that was him or somebody impersonating him. And so there's clearly some patterns that have been developed in his brain, you know, between his muscle memory, his learning, you know, how to use a material, and then the emotions and stuff that make you make choices with art and coloration and stuff.
Yeah.
There's something going on in his head, and I'm sure based on the information they gave us in the movie, like a lot of the turmoil in his life, and you know, and then, you know, here's something interesting. Did you know? Like the U.S. government, actually, this is like documented and everything. The U.S. government, and we talked about conspiracy theories, actually funded a lot of the modern artists in order to get ahead of Russia, because we were in like, you know, this cultural and arms race and everything. They actually funded a lot of art so that we would be better. They wanted to develop modern art because it's a little confusing, because it's like, it's all these people's unique ideas, and you know, it's really hard.
Control that.
Well, the conceptualization of art, like you literally have to put a placard up in front of your art pieces for people to understand the context, right? You can't just like look at 12 pieces and go like, he's clearly thinking about, you know, the plight of the modern white man in the desert.
So that's what Russia was. They were good at that.
No, we were just kind of in a race for everything, and the United States thought, hey, we should get ahead of them, and make them wonder what we know, what our artists know that they don't, so that they spend time and money doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're just doing, you know, psychological warfare. They're like, let's fuck with them a little bit. Let's fund the arts and see if they like have to.
So what do you think it is?
What the purpose of art or modern art?
What makes Pollock's like computer analysis what makes him that thing, I guess?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, he had certain, I don't know.
Is it like, in your mind, is it perfect? Is it like executed perfectly? Like he did the thing?
I think so. I think if the computer models do such a good job at discerning if it's a Pollock or not, I think he achieved. I think he did. There are so many different layers, so many different slings. He didn't like just do it as quickly as possible. That wasn't the point. Could have made it a smaller canvas, could have used less, you know, of the chaos. He could have done it in 15 minutes, throwing a few things at it, but he spent a lot of time doing that. Is the chaos,
like, in him? What's the chaos?
Yeah, sure, maybe that is, like, the reason, the point when he reached a finale. Maybe he was exercising the chaos as he was doing all of this, and by the time he organized that chaos on the canvas to the liking of his visual, like something between the visual cortex and that emotional, you where you analyze things and interpret them. Once it looks pretty chaos to him, or at least it exhibits it well enough, he could probably finally say, I'm done with that piece or whatever.
Do you think he would use the word pretty?
Probably not. Probably like that's fucking fine. It's fucking done.
Right.
I imagine. Well, we're gonna take a short break, and we will be right back. This is Artless Nap. Welcome back to Artless Nap. I am still Anthony Pego, your host, and I am still here with Brittany. I have still forgotten your last name. Tell me again.
I feel like it doesn't matter now.
No, it matters. Tell me.
Wagstaff.
Wagstaff. Is there a mnemonic device for that? Wagstaff. You're going to wag your magical staff and make sure people meditate correctly? Would you be an authoritarian? Are you going to
I picture a caduceus. The medical symbol. I don't know why. Or like a horn. That's the thing I'm wielding. Like a unicorn horn.
Is that the caduceus, the snake thing on the staff or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you recall from Greek mythology? It's like the only thing that interests, and it's probably wrong. The information is probably wrong.
We'll
Nothing I say is true.
We'll look it up. We could put it below. Now, the thing like the medical symbol that I really think of most of the time is a swirl of red on the barber's pole.
Oh, yeah.
Because they cut people.
Did surgery.
Yeah, they did surgery. That's freaking insane to me.
It's totally insane. My daughter just had a minor. I'm sorry, it's true. It's a minor surgery on her ear, but it caused serious pain. Yeah. And so many people have surgeries and they don't talk about the pain. And she's like, why don't they tell you? Because she's had two surgeries that she can remember, and it's just been very hard to experience pain when that's not your normal experience.
No, and that pain triggers something in my brain. I think everybody's brain where. Yeah, in my childhood, I'm missing a lot. I mean, for various reasons, like concussions and all sorts of life experiences. But the most vibrant are definitely I stepped on a 7-Up bottle, a glass 7-Up bottle. My brother was chasing me around the house, and there was this, they used to make glass bottles.
Chunky, yeah.
And it went through my foot. Well, we got a guest. Bug. Yeah, we got another co-host. And I remember them having to hold me still and stitch me up. And, I remember the anesthesia type stuff, the shots going in. I do remember surgeries on my ears. I don't remember the beforehand part being driven there or the recovery, but I definitely remember the mask being put down on my face. Anytime I smell anything that smells like the anesthesia that they used back in the 80s, I want nothing to do with it. My whole my brain lights up like a Christmas tree. It's like something else is happening. It's like a different state of reality. Like all of a sudden that pain or that fear.
So you have trouble seeing through the lights?
Seeing through the lights. What do you mean by that?
Well, the lit up like a Christmas tree. So is it hard to just navigate life because it's so
stimulating? Yeah, it is a little bit fogging. It does kind of fog my. It's harder to be in the here and now when all of a sudden those memories are triggered and stuff.
Because that's kind of what anxiety is as I know it. It's something else going on, really important and urgent inside that just, is as of the same importance as what's going on the outside to the experiencer. So it's a personal experience to me. Yeah. And I think that's because I didn't really consciously have anxiety, but I kind of learned maybe some anxious habits or something.
Okay.
Empathized with a anxious person too much and just took that on and experiencing just tremendous sensation, specifically in my chest and also in other regions along your inner,
Do you do chakra points and stuff? Do you think about your body that way?
Only now that I experience a lot of sensation in those places in my body. Not before. I was totally aware of the chakras, but I didn't ever meditate on them.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're just kind of assigning parts in your brain newly to these, giving them names so that you can call upon them or direct things or whatever, I guess. I mean, do you do that? Do you focus in meditation below, or is it just breathing? Is it just
I think it is more just it's occurring simultaneously to me thinking, and somehow I have to talk to you, and like I want to talk about it, and I want to be coherent, so I have to like pull from the two. I have to like talk about like sensation that's high, and also like understand that I want to. Yeah. Like, so the pain is real, but I'm like, I guess you could say I'm into the particular sort of pain of like the anxiety pain.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that earlier. Yeah, you said that meditation isn't all joy and bliss or nothingness or quiet, you know, which a lot of people I'm sure would rather have in their days today. Like that seems to be a good attractor for meditation. Like, oh, I get to have a reason to tell people I'm just going to sit down and be quiet and you have to leave me alone for an hour or whatever. But you don't experience pure relaxation or pure joy when you're meditating. You experience anxiety is what you're saying a little bit.
I experience bliss and anxiety.
Okay.
Normally
throughout the day.
Life, yeah. Like those are like my frequent states. Or I'm sleeping. I love to sleep. But I also love to be in flow. Yeah. And so that's like as a parent, as a like homemaker, I like to experience flow. Like I think it's the best thing that a lot of people experience, at least in my community, whatever their form of flow is. So just talking to people about that, because it's real.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about skills. We're going to get to lighter stuff here in a minute, but like, let's talk about skills. No, we will. We're going to talk about skills. So when you're in the worst of it, I'm curious because I have anxiety too. I think most people do. If you're not, I'm not sure that you're a human being. You're a machine. You're some sort of weird sociopath, perhaps, that everyone should avoid. Swipe left, ladies. Are there skills that like emergency skills, like do not break glass, you don't usually use? Like if there's something that once in a while you pop out, like do you have to put on a Michael Jackson album or or like lay down under a cover, turn the lights out?
No, like that's maybe what's weird for me. Like I'll not have those things. I think I take it back further into my childhood, like more like what would you do for an infant?
Okay.
Like the quality of attention you can give an infant is really good, like especially if you like infants at all. Like it's just bliss, you know, to kind of have that experience. And I've had quite a bit of it just with my own child. Like I was very present in my body and in my awareness when I was with her. So it was a very like sublime time, you know, and I was lucky enough to have a lot of time with her, just sort of like holding her as much as I wanted to, and people didn't really, like, I knew people had opinions, but I had my space to just watch her grow and try not to interfere too much. And then I, you know, come to this city and I start watching other parents and I'm like, oh, I'm like doing this thing, like what these people are doing here. Like it was the unschooling community that I fell in with. And then just like meeting people off of that, like realizing that, you know, being in these connected states is really amazing, especially if it's like a open state where you just want to exchange information. You just want to like talk about your real experience. And that's really what I'm interested in. Right. And I don't have a lot of like personal stories. Like I'm interested in your story, but I'm interested in like different perspective.
Right. Okay. So I'll give you a bit of my story to go back to the lighter side of stuff. So I don't have any experience with meditative groups or anything like that. I grew up in a very suburban, you know, Methodist, like I think very white kind of mentality. I'm half native, half white, but I feel like that white side was fostered more than like shamans and, you know, and all that good stuff. So when I hear about, you know, meditation and yogis and yoga, and I try yoga, like I love it. But I'm not great at it. Like it's the mystical stuff is kind of out there for me. I don't really bond with it immediately. And I certainly have that part of my brain that listens to people talking about like yogis and mysticism and chakras, and you think like it's so foreign. It's like its own religion that conflicts with this part of your brain that is trying to develop a notion or understand what you were taught. You know, so it's kind of like scary in a way, and that brings me to like all of course, the worst examples you see where you have like cults built. There's like Charles Manson, who did it with music and being, I guess, a good-looking guy. I don't know what these girls, I don't know how the sex cult got started with him. But there's like all these other cults where there's like this very charismatic leader.
Yeah, they wear the hairstyle of the time.
Right.
That's what attracted me.
Well, there always seems to be like some Eastern, slightly, like untouchable mysticism.
It's a major influx of like a radically different information, but like people get close to it and receive the information without getting drawn in. Like that's what I feel like I've done in the past. Like I'm very interested in, I guess, the latest practice technology, like practice base. We're always wanting to improve that. If we're interested in longevity, it's like, what can I do more efficiently? How can I eat more efficiently? Like, and in a way that like pleases me, making those bargains with ourselves to like eat healthily. And if you can keep just constantly improving your health, like that's a pretty good thing to do. You don't have to. I like started radically in nutrition by just jumping into the Master Cleanser. That's like the first thing I did.
No, thanks. What?
At 21, I was like, I'm going to do the Master Cleanser, and it worked actually really well because I also moved while I was in the first like days of the cleanse. Okay. So I found it really easy because I hadn't established like eating patterns with the people that I'm with, for example. Like it's really hard to miss out on dinner when everyone else is eating, at least for the first few days. It honestly does go away and you do feel better. But like people, you have to give it a little like, not that I'm advocating the Master Cleanser, I'm just saying like fasting or whatever. Okay, it's like, it's a taste you develop, like to just kind of experience different tolerances.
Okay, but Master Cleanser means what? Like you pull in things you would normally take?
It's a particular cleanser from a man like who developed it in the 60s, and it's just drinking a particular beverage exclusively for like a certain number of days.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, well, it's kind of delicious.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I like it.
Okay.
I just found it like interesting that you could even do that.
and this helped you. You were advocating it.
No, I said I was not.
You don't advocate that.
No, I don't advocate anything. I am not a role model.
Putting your name on anything.
No, nothing. Nothing here.
Well, so the further side of that sounds pleasant. And like if somebody was like, yeah, I have this delicious drink and that's going to help you a little bit. Maybe not. I'd probably try it. But I see these others. I'll give you an exact example. I was in San Diego living there as a musician. We were recording a lot and we ran across this older guy. I had a buddy who was up in LA and he brought this old guy with him and showed up at my house in San Diego. I was like, hey, do you mind if this guy, Sky Saxon, comes to record with us? And I was like, okay, come on in. He's wearing like fluffy, it's like a woman's leather jacket with like
feathers?
Foxtail kind of fur.
Fur.
Yeah, and he has long hair and sunglasses, and it's kind of like Benny and the Jet style, big sunglasses, and he's definitely rock and roll. He's old as dirt. And he comes in and he does like this beatnik style, like weird singing, and I loved every fucking second of it. He was definitely messed up. I mean, he was like out there, and it seemed more like kind of burnout style, where there was like lots of acid partaken through the years.
There was a flavor to this messed up. There was.
I ended up partying with these guys and recording them all night, and wake up and I don't know if we recorded the next day or whatever, but he was like, "Hey man, you have to come up and chill with us up north, near Mount Shasta at the base of it." And I looked him up and I was like, holy shit, this is the lead singer of the Seeds. This is the guy who influenced Jim Morrison, who told Jim Morrison how to like croon and stuff. He was the psychedelic rock and roll before the Doors were the psychedelic rock and roll. So this guy had like come into my living room and like partied, and no wonder he looked like a psychedelic rock star and acted like one. He literally was like the original guy.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And so he's like, come on up to Mount Shasta. And so like the next day when I come to and have done my research, I'm like, shit, yeah, we're going up to Mount Shasta. So I knew it was going to be weird, and it was weird. And so we go up to Mount Shasta. I'm going to go into this whole long story if this is okay. So we go up to Mount Shasta, and we go to this little cabin. We come in really late at night, and so we get put in this, like, we show up to the front door, and they're like, obviously they don't remember who we are, or this is just what they did, I guess. They put us in this, like shed for tools, and it's like carpet, really thin carpet, and a few mats.
Oh my god!
And there's
shed for tools.
It was, and there's like drawings and stuff that.
Is that a
like,
message then?
Maybe decide whether you want to stay for the night or not. There's like all sorts of like not but like there's like symbols from the chakras and like older languages and stuff scrawled on the wall. It's graffiti. It's like somebody was like locked in there and like, think about what you did and come out and meditate better or something like that. It's like all over the place.
But
tiny
not stagey. It looks like authentic.
Oh no, this is totally authentic. There was nothing like stagey about it. Somebody was in there like working out some stuff. And so the next morning we wake up barely able to sleep because there's like noises from the base of a mountain all around. And so we wake up and they're just like happy as can be. There's a hippie coming inside the cabin. They want us in for like hippie pancakes, like, ground meal or whatever, and like some of their vegetables from the garden and eggs from their chickens and stuff. And they are kind of the leftover, the remnants of this older cult that had happened in like the 60s and like had gotten in trouble. Like they got in trouble with the law. I can't remember, like it's like Brother Yahweh or something like that. We can look it up and like add a link or something like that.
This is not the one that I was thinking of when we were talking earlier. No, this is different. This is a different one that
I can't imagine too many people have followed these guys. So we get there and we're hanging out and we're recording more and we're just like doing, I don't know, like what creatives do. I'm taking photographs of them going through the small town around the base of the mountain at Mount Shasta. We go up into the mountain and kind of take photographs and just kind of hanging out and doing hippie stuff, I guess. And then I start talking more and more to these people like in bars. Some of the bars are like, all of the bars are just kind of good old boy, like Bud Light, and there's country floor, dance floors. It's like, it's very Oklahoma, very Texas, So like half of the people are very much just like the people we know around here, the more rural types, but there's no cityness about the whole thing. There's like one coffee shop, The
in
other
these towns?
Yeah, in that town.
And the one you go to the bars.
Yeah, at the base of Mount Shasta. I promise you, if you just go to Mount Shasta, you're going to find this place. I think it's probably just called Mount Shasta. I don't know. So I go there and like...
Wait, we're back in the cabin, or where are we?
We're at the bars and like in the town and like walking around looking at the bookstores and the coffee shops. Half of them are kind of this like small town, rural, I want to say normal. That's kind of an evil word to use these days. The other half of these people who believe in this thing called Lemurians. Have you ever heard the term Lemurians?
Of course.
Okay, so they believe that the internal part of Mount Shasta is inhabited by these beings who are the spiritual bodies that have meditated or become so self-aware and technologically advanced they're the remnants of Atlantis, is what they say. And so they're Atlanteans who have ascended and live in this futuristic city in the mountain on a parallel universe or something. And they say that there are enough stories that there's like little books you can buy around there, and people will tell stories at a bar to you about like somebody, they're drunk in the woods or something in the middle of the night, and like a tall, slender light figure comes out and like did it to them, or like kidnaps somebody they know and takes them into the mountain, and this is the Lemurians.
Do you want to make this trip? Is this what you're saying?
No,
to look for the people?
To go find the Lemurians? No, we already went up there and took photographs and stuff. We didn't
That's
find
as close as you want to get.
Well, yeah. We stayed on the road. I'm not going to tromp off into the middle of a mountain and
You don't want to find a Lemurian.
I guess not. My heart's not really into finding the Lemurians. Yeah. Hey, if they want to come by, Lemurians, if you're watching the podcast, I live in Oklahoma City in the Plaza District. You come find me with your advanced technology, and I will gladly go into whatever.
I agree with that.
We can even
if
set
you
a time.
can find me.
My birthday, 2019, I'll be 40.
But I feel like we should have some sort of caveat.
What's the caveat?
I don't know. Is there anything you would not want to experience with
if they're just going to probe me, if they're just curious about the remnants of humanity.
Basically, you don't want them to kill you. Donate your body to their science.
I mean, if they have cool technology where I wouldn't know the difference whether I was like killing
you're
them
open to that.
Yeah, sure. If like consciousness really is
that would be a really neat experience to go out that way, huh?
Well, you wouldn't be going out if they kept bringing you back and killing you and bringing you back.
Oh, you're imagining with their you're imagining advanced things.
Like if they're able to like take your consciousness and like reinsert it, take it out, reinsert it. I would love that. You'd be like, first of all, put me in my favorite like old school video games and stuff. Let me actually be the little Pac-Man or whatever. Then we'll go into higher things where like you can just inject knowledge or put me into a dog's body or like make me hover, astral projection. Like I want to be able to hover for a few minutes.
You would like to experience a lot of different things.
It wouldn't, given like hyper advanced technology where you've ascended. I don't know why they'd be living in a mountain like in Mount Shasta, like, just hanging out. Why wouldn't they go to just the spiritual realm, or could you have to be anchored?
So what are they doing?
I don't know. I don't think that answer's come back. I guess when you ask too many questions, you don't get let back out. Yeah. So what are their light cocktails and their light foods? I guess they don't.
Are they electric?
I don't. I mean, I think the idea is that like you meditate.
Are they filtered light like these?
I think light is how we perceive. The idea is like light is how we perceive the commingling of this other parallel universe and interacting with our physical reality, and maybe there's light shedding between the dynamics, the physics that happens. I
haven't heard that.
I don't know. Well, I mean, like
experienced it, but it's like far out, man.
I feel like I should be writing a script for a new like Ghostbusters, where I'm like explaining why these apparitions are here sliming us. Like they're cool, man. They're Atlanteans. Like they got great technology. Don't mind the.
You're gonna be like an intercessor. You're gonna communicate about them. So be like, hey, just let them chill.
Maybe it depends on it depends on whether or not they keep kidnapping people.
Oh right, yeah.
I might at first want to just be like an intermediary between the two cultures and be like, let's get some ground rules done.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're gonna kidnap one of us, every 5 years or whatever, we get one of yours, or we at least get some technology back, shove it through the door, and it's got to be real. It can't be this light shit.
There's an intermediary sort of like core to you, like that you would want to do that.
Oh, there's a part of me that I definitely would like to help
like
people.
You're between like pretty different voices, like that don't really understand each other or something, to where you feel like you can like go between them, paint a different picture.
Well, look, I'm okay at like what's this like it's not Pictionary. What's the
charades?
Charades, yeah. I could do okay at charades, so we'll figure it out. Like if they're just light and I can't hear them or whatever, you can't just put your iPod on their ear and like build a language that way.
Did you say they're just light?
Well, if they are.
Okay.
If they're just light, like what if they speak and their mouth moves? I guess you hear things about they inject like words into your brain, right? Like
the person talking to you?
The spiritual being. Like that's what seems to come.
I had not heard that. I'm not as well read about these.
So what are some of the like mythological things? I mean, you talked about the Greeks, the Grecians. Like people had notions of these otherworldly things.
Are you
that
talking
were happening.
Aliens?
Anything, aliens,
or
ghosts,
like ascended masters, or like
God,
just other
devil, like
races, ancient.
Yeah, the weirder the better.
Different like incarnations of the Earth.
Sure. Yeah. Do you think the Earth has been reincarnated?
I don't know. I started out like in a situation of learning esoteric shit.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind was blown really early on by just like, if any one of these things is true in this book, like, and there's reams of stuff out there that's like titillating, and the people writing it were like channeling it. What's better than that? Like, who cares?
You're talking about where like some other being like gives them the information.
Yeah, let me read the channeled information, because why not? It's like, that's a good book.
Well, I'm just saying, why not as a writer? Like, if something's channeling stuff to you, who cares if it's true or not? Like, it's so hard to
write you could experience it.
Well, I'm just saying it's easier to just let somebody else tell you what to write. They don't want like the trademark. They don't care about the copyright or the sales. They don't want the tax. They don't want to deal with that stuff. They're just going to give you the book. I'm like, yeah, bring it on. It could be fictional. I want to know as much information as possible, even if it's fictional. If it's somebody trying to sell me some bullshit.
So you're interested in reading a lot?
Yeah, I do read a lot. Most of it's news, politics, not fiction.
Is it internet-based?
A lot, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. But most things are these days.
Do you read books? Do you read periodicals or newspapers?
No, my books are usually nonfiction.
At the local coffee shop?
No, I don't sit down at the coffee shop, no. I sit on my couch, or I sit like on my porch, yeah. No. What about you? Do you read?
No.
No? Nothing? Not a word? Are you illiterate?
I am,
It's okay to be illiterate.
I'm a functional illiterate.
And how does that feel?
It feels exhilarating.
You navigated Facebook well enough to get over here, so you recognize certain words.
Yeah. exactly.
Do you feel that way ever about like navigating life? Do you feel like you're illiterate at certain things?
Totally.
Like what?
Let's start with just any profession someone else has. Like, I'm just like, wow, you got some information to get there that I don't have.
Yeah.
I feel like moisture is my friend right now. I'm just trying to like...
I know, it's hot out. We're drying out.
Plump it out.
I'm glad you're hydrating. I haven't been drinking enough water. This podcast.
As an Aquarius, you know how important it is.
Well, yeah, right. Water sign. I should very much hydrate.
What's your rising sign?
I have no idea. Okay, I'll tell you this. I know I'm on a Pisces cusp. Does it tell you anything?
That's your like early February?
No, I'm late. I'm 17th, and so.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know when the cusps are.
Yeah.
So you're close to Pisces, but you're still in Aquarius.
Yeah,
Got it.
I'm like. I think I'm like. If there's like if you call that a week, like the cusp. I think I'm like close to the middle, but kind of in the early side of the week. Well, I should be facing it your way.
So I can get a real visual.
Right. No, I don't. All that stuff. I mean, like I gotta say, like as a science-oriented guy, I'm not really like. So here's like something that was put out by I don't know who what like Tyson Neil deGrasse. Or maybe it was Bill Nye the Science Guy. But it probably was Bill, actually. He was talking about, look, people talk about mapping the stars, and, like, first of all, they shift and everything, right? Like, over time, over millennia, these stories have been passed down for thousands and thousands of years, right? Well, Sagittarius has shifted. It slowly drifts into a different place. And they didn't really take in account a lot of that. But here's the more important point. The gravitational pull is like attributed to be part of like, the reasoning for why this affects you. They don't talk about like the starlight or like some sort of subatomic particle that spans space and time and goes faster than the speed of light and how it affects you. They talk about like the gravitational pull. So they've assigned it like a characteristic that like influences who you are when you're born. All of these things in these different places, their gravitational pulls like affect who you are when you're born and stuff like that, and how you behave throughout the time periods or whatever. Like, oh my God, you're in your, I don't know what it is, Mercury rising. Oh my God, that's why I was so upset that day.
So you're saying you do believe?
No, I don't believe. And so like
it's got a gravitational pull with Mercury rising behind it.
No,
so there's probably a pull. There's like a deep space pull,
here's the point. Well,
and then a pull to you.
For sure, everything's connected.
Definitely, yeah.
For sure, everything's connected. But the amount of pull is so ridiculously low for something that far out. Light years upon light years upon light years.
Some of us are really sensitive.
But here's the point. Here's the point. Why don't we star chart the way we do star charts for like the truck that's driving on the highway or the mountain that's a few hundred miles away or whatever? Because the gravitational pull of these objects have way more influence over the water in our body, our molecules, than a star so incredibly far away. So it's absolutely scientifically true that like the things around you, just who's walking by, the mailman, your star sign should be like my mother and my father with my mailman rising, or something like that. It shouldn't be.
I love it because at the end I finally saw, I think, what you were saying, and I was like, oh, right. Well, it's interesting because I just noted because funny things happen and it's like really true for some people. Like right. I know this woman who's a fellow Aquarian and she's really far out, and like we just had like a fun evening exploring like some similarities that were just really uncanny. It's like, how fun is that to just feel that connected in time?
Okay, no,
but whatever. I also believe the Chinese. I also believe everything else that I read. Like I hold it in a space of like. Okay, well, maybe, but I'm hearing everything. I'm hearing a lot of suggestions from sources.
I think I need to invent some sort of pseudo religion dealing with memes. What are the last 12 memes that showed up on your feeds? I'll read them like tarot cards.
Oh, yeah. No, I've thought of this recently. I was like, my Facebook is finally a place, like, it's really positive sometimes, like, exceptionally so, like, a mixture of, like, near and far, like, heart sort of touching stories that are amusing and, like, touching. And I'm like, Facebook's great. I know that's not like the popular,
No.
but we're all on it still. And I'm not, and I'm not really like, I'm not looking for that. I just noticed like that I had sort of cultivated a positive place, and that's like, that's me in general in the garden of my mind.
Yeah. So Facebook does it for you.
Oh no, not just, there's like times when it does.
Okay. Do you have any other guilty vices like that? Like Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah. Well, they are what they are.
Can people ping you? Do you have something, social media?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram.
Instagram?
Yeah.
And so what is it?
I don't think I want to share.
You don't want to share it? Okay, all right. Well, all you sleuths out there, you can try. But she's not going to make it easy for you.
Oh my god, no.
We may not have all of heaven, but we now have this cold.